This is Africa in 10 minutes. I'm Lillian Ojukwu. Stay tuned as we bring to you the top business stories reported on Footprint to Africa this week. To recap this week's top headlines, small relief as South African inflation statistics show steady decline. Obama-funded U.S. initiative aids Ugandan agriculture. Iran in talks with Egypt for sales of LNGs. Angolan mining sector gets assessed. Ghana government secures $7.5 million funding for solar expansion into Ivory Coast. Kenya secure among Brexit fears. Rwanda lowers prices on 4G LTE. Tanzanian government forces mobile operations to countries underserved. This week, the inflation unexpectedly slowed for a third month in South Africa as food price growth decelerated, giving the South African Reserve Bank room to keep interest rates unchanged to support an economy at risk of falling into recession. The inflation rate dropped to 6.1% from 6.2% a month earlier, Pretoria-based Statistics South Africa said on its website. In the agricultural sector, the U.S. mission in Uganda has commenced an initiative to accelerate agricultural growth by encouraging partnerships between the public and private sectors that leverage the expertise of Uganda's leaders in agriculture. The LEAD project is subsidiary to U.S. President Barack Obama's Feed the Future program, which encourages collaboration among leaders in the public and private sectors to maximize Uganda's agricultural progress. LEAD will help nurture an enabling environment for agriculture production, trade, youth employment, and adaptation to climate change. Now over to Egypt, where Iranian deputy head of the Association of Petrochemical Industry Corporation, or APIC, said in a statement this week that Iran has been in talks with Egypt to sell liquefied natural gas to the East African country. The official highlighted the significance of Iran's LNG exports to Egypt, adding elsewhere that Iranian companies have also received a list of Egypt's much-needed petrochemical items. The latest news comes amid predictions that Iran's oil output will climb to some 5 million barrels per day within 3 years. In mining news, the Consultative Council of the Ministry of Urbanism and Housing will embark on a needs assessment for the current state of the mining sector in Angola. The convention is being held with the goal of addressing land management and diversification of the economy, and will cover topics such as urban environment as a source of diversification and the mechanisms and technical and administrative procedures for licensing of urban operations. This week in Ghana, Persistent Energy Ghana, or PEG, has secured $7.5 million funding that will enable the off-grid solar company to expand its operations in the West African nation and enter the Ivory Coast. PEG uses pay-as-you-go technology to give loans for solar home systems to off-grid and mostly rural households who are considered risky by banks and microfinance institutions. PEG allows customers to repay the loans over time and in small increments, reaching many people who would otherwise be unable to afford such products. In Kenya, the Brexit concern is ongoing as Britain heads to the polls in a referendum on whether to leave or stay in the European Union. The Central Bank of Kenya affirms that it has enough foreign exchange reserves in case of fallout from the outcome of the vote. The Central Bank of Kenya Governor Patrick Njoroge was quoted as saying that a vote for Britain to leave the European Union could hurt the global economy and Kenya would feel the shockwave. In the tech sector, Ole Rwanda Networks has revealed a 30% reduction in its prices for 4G internet service, which was formerly 2,360 Rwandan francs for 1 gigabyte weekly. This implies a 27% decrease from the previous price. CEO Patrick Yoon revealed that the changes are part of the efforts to bring affordable service to Rwandans, but more importantly, to position Rwanda as the leading country in rolling out broadband networks in the region. And finally this week, Tanzania's government has taken unprecedented measures in the service to its citizens living in the more remote and underserviced areas in the country by issuing a decree to all mobile operators to hasten their efforts in extending telecommunication services to remote areas accessed through the Universal Communication Services Access Fund. Government officials warned that there would be stiff fines and penalties for any mobile carrier who chooses to delay in the referendum. The fund subsidizes telecommunication companies to expand services considered uneconomical. And that wraps up this week's top stories. We'll be back with a recap of the headlines. To recap this week's top headlines, small relief as South African inflation statistics show steady decline. Obama-funded U.S. initiative aids Ugandan agriculture. Iran in talks with Egypt for sales of LNGs. Angolan mining sector gets assessed. Ghana government secures $7.5 million funding for solar expansion into Ivory Coast. Kenya secure among Brexit fears. Rwanda lowers prices on 4G LTE. Tanzanian government forces mobile operations to countries underserved. To keep up with the trending business news of the week, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and connect with us on LinkedIn. These news and reports are culled from Footprint to Africa. For daily updates and more business news in Africa, visit www.footprinttoafrica.com today. Footprint to Africa. Business news made in Africa by Africans.